Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages. It is the Four Guys Roundtable Show, and we are here on a wonderful Saturday evening. It is
We're
with Dark
here.
Pat. Huh?
What?
We're here.
Oh,
I don't know where here is.
Well,
in your computer.
I will tell you where I'm at right now. I am emotionally distraught. Okay. The last 24 hours was not just a blow to the heart. It was a sword through the heart. It was like Drew McIntyre's sword, his fake sword, like just drawn through my heart. And
You mean his Loch Ness dragon tooth?
yes. and the general manager of one of my favorite baseball teams just bent me over and just kicked me right in the fucking nutsack.
Ooh.
Hence why I'm wearing my Cubs hat in memory of, we're only going to retool, guys. Everyone, it's okay. We're going to retool. No, they do a fucking fire sale. Everybody under the fucking sun. Pat's team got my first baseman.
Be a giant tool.
Yeah. You know,
everything must go.
Pat's team got my first baseman, and what does he know? He hits a fucking home run in his first game in a Yankees uniform.
You get another one tonight.
Yeah, no, I saw.
Awesome.
Yeah. So one goes to the Yankees, two go to the Mets, one goes to the San Francisco Giants, one goes to the White Sox, two went to the White Sox, which I'm fine with that one, of course. And one of them went to, I don't know, fucking San Diego, but he was kind of more of a role player.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we have a bunch of AAA players and Wilson Contreras and Jason Hayward. Yeah, that's our fucking team right now.
That's all right.
No, listen. Most of them were free agents at the end of this year, which I get, but they offered contracts to all of them, and all of them declined. Now, some of them were a little
few losers.
Some of them were a little lowball, contracts, but they were based on pandemic economics. But yeah, just in memory of the Cubs, what they were.
Maybe you should have thrown them some of your mushroom power that you have there on your hand.
Yeah, I should have done that. I really should have. Yeah. So Pat, just to throw you in the loop, I went to the adult beverage store yesterday after work because I was running low on certain stuff. And in this pineapple glass right here is some ginger ale, a quarter ginger ale, and 3/4 of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's Terramana tequila. And I might say, this shit is mighty, mighty good. So cheers to you, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, for some good ass fucking tequila. I will say that.
I can't believe he didn't get any plugs in for that during Jungle Cruise.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't.
That'd have been awesome. Have you tried the tequila? It's delicious.
And then he takes a swig of it. I've had better elsewhere. Or just something stupid like that, just to like throw a punch at it, Yeah. So how's everybody doing? How was everybody's wonderful week?
My week was good. It was a much better week than the week before. I was able to settle in on like this whole new program that they want us to run and stuff like that, and got acclimated to it and put aside my personal issues with tracking projects, so to say.
Yeah.
So good. And the weekend started off nice. You guys probably saw I put on my Facebook page, sitting out by the fire. We're
indeed
try to do fires on Fridays. It's just the easiest day to do it because we don't really have anything going on usually on a Friday. So Fridays, and
fire pit was a good idea, man.
Like I put on my Facebook post, it was the like when we redid our patio, I was like, gotta have a fire pit. Like I just enjoy relaxing by a fire. I don't know what it is. It's just relaxing for me. I think a lot of people feel that enjoy, like when we go camping, that's my thing. My favorite thing to do is to sit by the fire at night because you just chill, you drink a drink.
It's relaxing,
people, man. It's just nice. It's easy.
It is.
My wife is on the other hand, she's like terrified, not of the fire, but of the kids falling in the fire because they don't necessarily walk around the fire with ease. They like stumble around and then want to run, so she gets a little
The females
terrified.
always think the worst, worst case scenario.
So
You
yeah,
gotta be prepared. Worst case scenario. Yes. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
so but it's nice, and I think the more that we do it, the easier my wife will feel with the kids around the campfire when we go camping. So it's just
Yeah.
kind of a better way for them to get a grasp on being around fire and knowing not to run around the fire because you could fall in and turn into like we told my son yesterday. Do you want to become a piece of crispy fried chicken? He's like, no. I was like, then stop running around the fire.
Well, supposedly human flesh does taste like chicken, so that would be an analogy.
I mean, it doesn't smell like it, but I mean, I don't know about the taste. I wouldn't know.
Nor would I. But yeah, so it's been good. We've been cleaning the house today. Today's been house cleaning day as well as like yard work. So, your normal fun adult
Weekend bullshit.
stuff.
How's the good old apartment coming there, Pat? I've been seeing you post some stuff on Facebook with the little room and all your bookshelves and all your other stuff coming along.
Well, we're having this big family reunion at my parents' house tomorrow, but my sister and brother-in-law are supposed to stop by beforehand to help me hang the curtains for the living room. That's kind of the last big thing. Then I got to start actually getting stuff up on the walls that I bought to put up on the walls, and still some like all this like lingering like small shit to put away and everything. And then I'll actually finally be like, okay, I live here now. I mean, it's been months now, so it's weird.
Will your curtains match your carpet?
Now, Pat.
For one thing, there's no carpet in the living room. The living room's hardwood floor.
It flew over his head.
I knew exactly what you were saying.
You gotta play it off like you're not paying attention to me. I hate when you do that.
but even so, with the throw rug that I have for the living room, no, that will not match the drapes either.
Pat, if I was still living in PA, I would have done all that for you. I would have charged $5 an hour. And
$5 an hour.
I don't know if I can get away with that. That's not minimum wage.
$5 an hour and several contents of alcohol. Taking care of all of it for you.
That would have got it up to minimum wage with the alcohol.
Well, as Master Shake once said, I think we can make a deal there.
Curtains, anything you want on the wall, anything else. We'll take care of it for you.
Yeah, it's funny. We got me and my wife. We got one of those like stickers that you put on with the writing, like the writing that had the sayings on them, and you put them on the wall and stick them to the wall.
Oh yeah.
We got this like probably 2 years ago. Still not up on the wall. It's just still rolled up in its carton. Hello, Darth. I see he's made his way out of his box or package, whatever you transported him in.
Yes, he was in a box, and I just was like, you know what? He would look great on top of the subwoofer for the speakers for the computer, which is behind one of my monitors here, because that way it looks like he's standing up above the monitor. So that's where his spot is. It's right there.
Very, very dramatic.
Well, it's, he's in the pose where he's like, like holding onto the belt and everything, and he looks, ultra menacing. And the only he looked more menacing is if like his lightsaber was drawn and his other lightsaber was drawn.
You just need to get like a little LED red light to like glow behind him. Perfect.
Where's your Laura Croft doll though?
What's kind of funny about that is so some of like the lingering things at my parents' house that are still sitting in the closet of my bedroom are Darth Vader related. Yeah, there's a it was like a bank thing. It was like the whole thing was like when you put, like Dennis Leary did like a routine on it like years ago. It's like when you put like coins into it, it would like it would like come alive and it would start like like moving and he would say things. I found one of those at Suncoast Video like years ago, and it did still work for a while. It doesn't work anymore, so now it's like this big thing. But I had this other thing. I guess it was like kind of like ceramic. It was like a nightlight. is this thing that stood about like this tall, like off of a tabletop, and it was like this big, and it's like, you know, he's just like he's like this, and like the lightsaber was like the nightlight. And I didn't think we still had that thing. And then all of a sudden I still see it. I see it sitting there in the closet, like they found it somewhere. So I was like, I wonder if that thing works.
So
I doubt it does, but it's like, if it does, it's like, I really would like to give it to my sister and say, I think this would be perfect for the boys' room. I don't care if they're only 4.5 and just about 3. They should not be scared of Darth Vader.
No. My dad bought my son a Star Wars light, and it has the lampshade, and it has like all this Star Wars like fanciness on it, right? So it's a normal light, but it has 3 lightsabers, green, red, and blue.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, you turn the light on normally for the light, and then there's another switch for the lightsabers to light up, and it's kind of the same thing. It's like the lightsabers are supposed to be like the night light for it. It's pretty cool, actually. But kind of the part that sucks about the nightlight is it doesn't work off the power cord like the main light does. You got to put AA batteries in it for the fucking nightlight part, and that shit just, you know, yeah, that's the part that does suck. But overall, it's a cool light, very similar, cool ass light though.
Yeah. Oh man.
Just
I don't have anything cool like that.
Well, what the fuck? Why not?
I don't know. I didn't collect that stuff when I was a kid, man. I wasn't like, I love Star Wars, but I wasn't a Star Wars collector, and I don't look for that stuff now as an adult. Not that I don't think it was cool, but I just don't look for it now. I was a G.I. Joe and Transformer kid. Like, those were my stuff. You know, that's what I played with as a kid. It was G.I. Joes and Star Wars. And not G.I. Joes and Transformers, which they have put on Netflix, I think, just put out a new Transformers like TV series. I was like,
Yes,
part
3 came out yesterday, I believe it was, Pat. And then the He-Man one that everybody's talking about, because everybody has a fucking opinion on that fucking show. I will tell you, I watched it with my son. He's never watched the original He-Man series.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just brand new for him. He thought it was cool. My take was on it. It was different, but it wasn't bad. I didn't hate it. I didn't dislike it. It was different. And I was fine with it. I enjoyed watching it. I think sometimes, what's the word for them?
Purist.
Like the
boys.
Yeah, the fanboy. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah,
they need to just slow the roll and calm the fuck down, because someone made a comment the one time about that they went back and started watching the old 80s G.I. Joe shows, and watching that and being like, wow, some of these episodes were corny as fuck. But yet when you're a kid, you don't realize that, and you're not understanding all of it. So I went back and started watching some of the He-Man episodes. Yeah, it's 80s.
Yeah,
some of the stuff they were trying to get across doesn't make sense, will not make sense to the kids today. Well, even looking back on some of those episodes, they were kind of corny and cheesy, and like, oh, that wasn't a great episode. But yet when you're 8, 9, 6, 5 years old, whatever, 10, it's cool as shit. You know, just like some of the stuff that the kids watch now, whatever it may be, you know, to them, it's cool. 10 years from now, they'll go back and look at it and be like, oh, that wasn't that great. You know what I mean? There's only certain cartoons that you get that, you know, it was cool 20 years ago and it's still cool now. Or it's still a good watch, however you want to put it in terms. But they released 5 episodes. There's 2 parts. So the first part left you with a crazy ass cliffhanger, but you've seen some scenes. They've given you some scenes from the second part, so you kind of know that's not the end all be all, but there's more to come. I've heard people talking about, oh, Tila's a whiny bitch, and all the guys in the episode are dumb and stupid, and they were just like, it's a cartoon, in a fucking fantasy world.
Cartoon.
It's not realistic. It's not real life. they're they're telling a story. You get to see some cool stuff now. As far as other things, um, what was it? Yeah, I mean, it's just I don't know. And I think some of the part with the fanboys is they forget because they were young back then. The cartoon had its own arc and own storytelling. But yet, then yet, some of these cartoons that had comic book series attached to them, the comic books kept it in the same direction, but definitely go off in the different avenues and branches and stuff. And they don't do like true retcons back then, but they change things up a little bit or change some stories. So, the comic book version is always going to be semi different from the cartoon. And I think as people get messed up with that, I was talking to one of my friends, like, oh my God, but back when we were kids, I'm like, yeah, back when we were kids, they had the cartoon. I said, then after the cartoon was over, after like 2 seasons and 130 episodes, they did a comic book series and they changed even more shit. And none of us read that shit when we were 6 years old. Not too many of us, you know what I mean?
And that's the thing that I found out about like the old 80s cartoons like G.I. Joe, He-Man, Transformers, like all those. They were cartoons. Actually, they were action figures, then they were cartoons, and then
Most
they
of
were
them.
comic books.
Yeah.
Because the thinking from Mattel and Hasbro and all those companies was, how are we going to sell these to somebody without there being a story to the reason that these characters exist?
Yeah.
So then they came up with cartoons. And then, how do we keep things going? We can't, the cartoons are over and done with. Come out with a comic book,
Yeah,
or sometimes the
comic books
comic
were
book came out
hot.
at the same time the cartoons were already out, But I agree with you, Joe. When I'm watching He-Man, I'm not looking at it as, oh man, this is going to be just like the original. I don't want it to be like the original. I want it to be something new. I want them to put a different spin on it. So when, and Darth Pat, are you going to watch it? Or have you
He's
watched
watched-
it?
yeah, he's
Okay.
Yeah, he's watched.
So I didn't want to ruin anything for you. So when Adam dies, spoiler alert,
Yeah, twice on
the
top
first
of it.
time, I was like, because he dies as He-Man the first time, I was like,
Yeah.
holy shit. I'm like, what the fuck are they doing? I was like, oh my God. Because I was like, He-Man doesn't die in the original. Like, that doesn't happen. Like, I
Yeah.
don't remember that. So
But
he dies.
It can happen though.
So they go to hell, essentially. They call it something different. What do they call it? I forget what
I don't remember the name.
Yeah, I don't remember the name either.
I mean, yeah, it's heaven and hell.
Yeah, they go to heaven and hell. They go to hell. They essentially meet like what looks like Skeletor, but it's not Skeletor. It's somebody else. It might as well have been Skeletor.
There is a name for that guy. I can't remember what it is now. It almost rhymes with Skeletor. Hold on.
You'll look it up. Don't worry.
Yeah, you'll look that
continue.
up. Help me out there. But then they go to heaven and they meet all the heroes who were He-Man. Going back to
Past
the
wielders of the
first
sword.
champion. They call them champions. They're not He-Men. They're called champions, which I thought was cool. And
Yeah,
there was girls, there was guys, there was, everybody was champion. So, and then of course, he comes back, and then before he can even be turned into He-Man again, he gets killed by Skeletor because Skeletor hid in Evil Lynn's freaking staff. It's like, oh, well, that's interesting.
and you can tell the little foreshadowing of Man of Arms and Evil Lynn had a baby. Ooh, they got kinky with each other and had Telia or whatever.
Yeah, Tila. Yeah.
Tila.
And I think it's just interesting. I actually thought it was very well done. I'm glad it wasn't like the original because, and here's the other, so just thinking about original He-Man, original G.I. Joe, original Transformers, they were in the 80s. And in the 80s, if you watch cartoons in the 80s, all 80s cartoons, like those type of cartoons, had a every episode was trying to tell you a life lesson.
Yeah.
Like
that was the big thing in the 80s.
That's what they were all about. That's what those cartoons were about. Like good beats evil all the time. Don't drink the dirty water. Whatever it was. Like and G.I. Joe always ended with, and knowing's half the battle. Like here's your education for this episode. Knowing's half the battle. Like, so for all those goddamn fanboys out there that like are on the nipple of everything, give it up. Like, relax.
Yeah,
a
they need
little
to
bit.
calm
Just
down.
enjoy the show for what it is. And if you want to nitpick it and say, well, I think this character needed more development, maybe this, that, and the other thing, fine. But to say a character's a whiny bitch, like, it's 5 fucking episodes. And no offense, if that character was real, she'd whoop your ass because she's badass with a sword and staff and shit like that. So I don't think she's a whiny bitch if she could beat your ass.
I mean, if you want to call somebody a whiny bitch, some of the fanboys are being whiny bitches right now in regards to it. I mean, like, seriously. Yeah, I don't know. You just take it for what it is anymore. I understood what Kevin Smith was doing. He brought back some, Moss Man. People were pissed off that Moss Man died so early. It's like, listen, they're kind of like doing a continuation of the original series. It is what it is.
I know. I saw so many characters. I was like, oh shit. They're like, I expected them to phase in characters. And they like brought all these characters into like the very first like couple episodes. I was like, oh shit, there's Beast Man, there's Moss Man, there's this guy.
And the thing now,
shit.
The thing now is with cartoons too. Like, you see cartoon characters that fans become, attached to die, die in the cartoon. It happens. It's they write them now where it's more, I don't know. They're still fantasy cartoons, fantasy world, but they put more human elements and real life elements into it. I get, but it's a different type of writing now than it was in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, you
and
never
all
saw
that because
cartoon characters die. They get hurt, but they never died.
hurt really bad. Yeah,
I mean, come on, G.I. Joe and Cobra, they couldn't hit the freaking broadside of a barn. Nobody ever died with that. All the bullets that they shot, missiles they fired, nobody ever died. Come on. Vehicles laughing. He's like, yeah,
I mean, listen, you're seeing vehicles get fucking hit and blown up, and you're seeing like guys parachute out of like, ground vehicles and shit, and just jumping out. Like, no one ever died. They were able to escape death right before
the missile hit the jeep. The guys jumped to safety. Yeah, okay.
Holy shit, jump, Joe! Jumping out of there and whatnot. Scarlet, run!
Well,
speaking of
Community, did that parody episode of G.I. Joe in their 5th season, where like they're all like G.I. Joes, and Jeff kills not Sinestro, Jesus Christ, Destro.
Yeah.
Much to the horror of all the other G.I. Joes, and then they're put on trial by the rest of the G.I. Joes, and it just devolves from there. But what was really cool about it is that they got like a lot of the original like G.I. Joe voice cast back to like their
Nice.
Yeah, I heard about that. That's cool.
Voice, everything. It's a pretty hysterical episode. It's just full of like fourth wall breaks and references and
all that good stuff.
Commentary on the way that their shows were made with like the animation errors, or like you'd hear one person's voice, but it would be a different character's lips moving and everything, all that kind of stuff. So it was hysterical.
The dubbing, yeah. I mean, speaking of G.I. Joe, the Snake Eyes movie just came out the other week, and me and my son went to see it.
Seemed to bomb.
So here's the thing. Again, fanboys were pissed.
Of course.
They didn't like, I don't know, they didn't like how they incorporated Joe and Cobra into it. I thought it was fine. They didn't like, they felt like, they could have developed some of the character. It's the same old shit. They didn't like this part. This character wasn't developed properly. Blah, 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 blah. Like, here's the thing. It was Snake Eyes' origin. And here's the other thing. Technically speaking, Snake Eyes, I do pretty promptly remember this. It wasn't shown in the cartoons, but this was stories that they did in the comics when the cartoons were going on and afterwards. Snake Eyes was a blonde white dude. And now he's an Asian guy. And people are like, you should have been an Asian the whole time. And I've talked to some other people, and they're like,
he was never an Asian. He was always a white guy that was accepted into that.
Yeah, it was a story of a kid, a lost kid, or whatever the true thing is, being brought in, and an outsider being taught the ways of the arts out and whatnot, becoming a ninja. So I mean, they do it differently. They kind of retcon it, or just go into a different origin story between him and Storm Shadow. Because in the original, the master dies, and all this stuff. It's blamed on this one. It was actually was it Zartan was I think the one who originally killed him and stuff like that. So there's a lot of different things that have changed, and that's even changed a little bit in the comics over the years when they've done like backstories on Snake Eyes and Scarlet. But listen, they're going another route, and it just there's been so many retcons or tweaks to people's origin stories, even the favorites, that it is what it is at this point anymore. What's the sense of bitching? Just if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. If you're not liking it just because you're pissed off that they changed something, then don't fucking watch it.
So
I thought it was fine. It was a good action-packed movie that had a lot of cool fucking stunts in there, and a lot of like fighting in regards to the ninja fighting and all that jazz. Some cool shit. And yeah, I mean they introduced the Baroness and Scarlet, and to be honest with you, there's a bunch of tweaks to it and changes and new things, but it at the end of the movie, Storm Shadow goes here, Snake Eyes goes here, and then
just like it's supposed to be.
Yeah, and at the end of the day,
switch spots.
no, at the end of the day, they go their route where they're supposed to, and this is supposed to be the first movie into the reboot of the G.I. Joe series, and this is supposed to actually have a crossover with the semi reboot of the Transformers movies that are coming out. So, and it's supposed to be like they did in the comics, G.I. Joe meets Transformers. They're going to intertwine.
So the one thing I have to ask is, because I did not stay. We went to the drive-ins to watch Space Jam 2 and G.I. Joe, but Space we went
Jam 2.
Well, I'll talk about that in a little bit.
Space Jam 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Listen, I semi want to watch Space Jam 2 just because of the fact there's supposed to be a Jordan reference in there of some sort, and I just want to know what the Jordan reference is, and go on from there.
Yeah. So the only thing I want to know about Snake Eyes is, does he take the vow of silence?
Well,
that was the big thing as part of his master dying, was he takes that vow of silence until he gets his revenge.
See, there's been different stories with that. Some of it was the vow is silence, but he gets into a heated battle with Storm Shadow, and Storm Shadow cuts his throat.
So I remember that being one of the things too.
Yeah, I think I think it was Storm Shadow. He gets his throat cut by him, and he fucks his vocal cords up, and he can't talk. That's why he doesn't talk. And then they kind of did the coded silence thing as a semi retcon to that. So I'm not sure. Like at the end of the movie, he's still talking. I'm not sure how they're gonna go about that. To me, I would like it where him and Storm Shadow get into a battle and his throat gets fucking slit. That'd be let's go back to the old school way. Let's do that. But if they do a different way, so be it. It is what it is.
I was just curious. So let's talk a little bit Space Jam 2. So yes, there is a Michael Jordan reference. They don't say his name. It is in Bugs Bunny makes the reference, and it's just about playing with an NBA player before. So that's the reference. That's what you get. So
we can get Bugs Bunny saying, I played with the NBA player before.
Yes. It's I forget the exact quote, but it's just that he makes reference to playing with an NBA player before. And I think he says something not like the original or something like that. He says to him. So it was comical. I remember that part. I just don't remember exactly what led up to it, because it's very interesting. Like, I don't want to say LeBron was a bad actor, because I can't really rate actors. I'm not like that kind of person that I can be like, well, they were great in this movie, but they were shit in this movie. I base that on the movie was a piece of shit, so they look like shit.
I mean, that could be valid at times too.
So, but when it comes to Space Jam 2, it was interesting. The storyline is very, very different. It is not anything like the original storyline. It's a computer, which it's really even more far-fetched than I think the original, because it's a computer program that digitizes him and then sends him to Toon World. So I was like, okay. I mean,
They don't.
Jordan does get pulled down gets pulled down a freaking hole at a golf course. So I mean, I guess it's not too much more far fetched.
So they took the Real Player One type of situation and put it in Space Jam in their own version. Splendid.
Yes. And all the tunes are dispersed because the AI that is played by Don Cheadle, like, leaves Bugs Bunny by himself because Bugs Bunny didn't want to be like the rest of them and go to these different worlds. So they have to travel to different worlds within the animated world to find the rest of the original Toon Squad.
Oh my God.
And it pretty much, if you want to look at it like this, it's like Warner Bros. Decided to make Space Jam 2 and say, how can we have every possible cartoon character or animated character we've ever created be in this movie? So
wonderful.
Yeah, it was. So all in all, good kids movie. It's going to be, kids will love it, and it's very relatable because a lot of kids know who LeBron James is. So
Yeah.
it'll make a ton of money for Warner Brothers. But overall, how does it compare to the original? I still think the original is better, and not because of Michael Jordan, just because it was the original. Like it has something that you can't recreate with a second movie. Like, I never thought they needed to do a Space. When I heard they were doing Space Jam 2, I was like, they don't need to do it. Don't do it, because it's one of those movies you only do it once. It shouldn't be redone. But
Yeah.
it'll, like I said, it'll make a lot of money. The kids will love it. My kids enjoyed it. They thought it was great. You know, they got some laughs out of it and stuff like that. So, you know, but once again, I just didn't think they needed to be redone. So, my personal opinion.
Neither did I. I'm not gonna. I just wanted to watch it for the Jordan reference, but if that's, I'll just find some clip of it on YouTube or something, because I'm not watching the whole movie just for that. And that was whatever. It's kind of lame.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it real quick.
Could have taken a better shot, but whatever.
Let me see here. Yeah, Jordan joke.
I mean, technically, between two sports, baseball and hockey, we've had a crazy trade week for the trading period for baseball and a crazy opening week for free agency in hockey. Signings and trades all over the place.
Yeah, shit.
Oh, you know what? There's actually two references because they talk about there is actually two, because I forgot. He does talk about the NBA players because that's the kind of like allude to it. But then they're in the locker room like at halftime, and there's a person that walks in, and they're like, even I was like, oh shit, tell me they really did bring Michael Jordan back for this, just for this like one spot. And it is Michael Jordan, but it's Michael B. Jordan. I was like, oh, oops, wrong Michael Jordan. So that was the other like kind of reference to Michael Jordan, was that, not just Bugs Bunny, but yeah. So it was the Michael B. Jordan like walks into the room into the locker room at halftime, which was really funny too. Because all the tunes get excited too. They're like, oh, he's coming.
He's gonna help us win because this guy isn't doing shit.
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny.
All right. So I think unless Pat, you got anything else that you want to talk about that's off topic, I think we need to jump into some basketball, because we got some things that are just, as basketball fans, me and Joe are kind of excited about this thing that's changing.
Oh, I hope it goes through.
So, how about Bray Wyatt?
Oh, yes. He got released today.
Did he?
Like a couple hours ago. Yes.
Like, thank God. Like,
yes.
You know, I usually don't talk. I'm not going to talk bad about him, but let's just be honest. The gimmick had run its course probably about 5 years ago. And that was before he changed into the Fiend.
I disagree.
Okay.
I just believe that they just didn't know what to do with it. And they ran it into the ground. definitely.
Yeah.
And it is very, he did probably need to be changed up in some way, shape, or form again. But they really both gimmicks, like the original gimmick and then the Fiend gimmick, they basically, I think, just they should just let him book it himself, really. And
yeah, I agree with that.
But
and
it just got to a point where they were basically like, "Oh, we know what's getting this over." No, you didn't. And
nope.
So it really just fucked them over in the long run. So
because I think they fucked up the whole Alexa Bliss being with him too.
Yeah, they definitely did.
And that match at the pay-per-view where she had the black shit running down and all that stuff.
The WrestleMania match was booked badly. Yeah. The end of the Inferno match or whatever the fuck they called that, where Orton actually lit them on fire. They went, and I don't want to try to let them off the hook and say it was all because of the pandemic and performing in front of no crowds and everything, but the Firefly Funhouse match was one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I still think the Firefly Funhouse match was pretty brilliant because
so do I.
Obviously it wasn't a wrestling match. Hey, this is one area where I'll definitely disagree with Jim Cornette about, because he hated it. I thought it was brilliant. The problem is then when you really come right down to it, Cena should have come back completely different than what he went into that match as, and obviously he didn't.
Yes.
But hey, it's been a year and a half, and you're not working with Bray now and every other damn thing. So it doesn't really much matter in that respect. But I just feel like they ran into the ground and ruined it. I'm sure our colleague will be shedding no tears over this.
No, he won't.
No, AJ will not care. He will be probably elated.
But I don't know. It really, and because let me just had it up here.
Don't be surprised if they bring him back in like a month under a new contract for a lower pay grade.
Well, the article I was reading says he was probably cut because of budget cuts, so that they of course tweeted out their standard, WWE has come to terms on the release of Bray Wyatt. We wish him the best in all his future endeavors.
I fucking hate that thing.
Blah, blah, blah.
It's such a corporate thing to do.
There was pictures of him yesterday and the day before, like he's been working out like 6 days a week and whatnot, trying to get back into better shape and all that jazz, which you could, by the picture, you could definitely tell he has. I'm just worried, like, if he's released, it's fine. It is what it is. It's not really going to hurt the product in any really shape or form. But what I think is going to hurt is that the fact that he's released now, that we definitely know that he's not coming back in any storyline with Alexa Bliss and her little funhouse thing. And to be honest with you, I think that shit needs to end with her pretty soon as well. Because I think that's going to, it's okay for a certain time, but it's going to get to the point now where I think it's going to run its course. It's going to go past its course, and they're going to keep her in that gimmick, and it's not going to benefit her at all.
No. Yeah. Well, I mean, so like this is the point I wanted to make. So Mickie James, who of course was recently released, retweeted the WWE's tweet and added this commentary. I think what you meant to say was, thank you so much for coming up with such an incredible gimmick time and time again. One so cool and over, we really didn't know how to book it right. So we just gave it to someone else so we can still make all the money off of it and let you go.
Evidently, she's not coming back to WWE anytime soon.
No, she's salty with them right now for multiple reasons.
Yeah, but you read that and then you go,
She's right.
Oh, yeah.
She's right. Because they're still making money off of his gimmick with Alexa Bliss.
Right. And yeah, I mean, I admit,
and people love her, so they're going to buy her they're going to buy her stuff.
Yeah, I admit when they first did the thing with Alexa pairing with him, I thought it was, really intriguing, and I thought it was going to go somewhere really good. But then somewhere along the line, it just went off the fucking rails. So
it went flat.
They tried to make it creepier than what it needed to be.
Yeah,
they were trying to make it like Halloween-ish, like horror movie creepy, and it's They just pushed it too far.
It's not going to appeal.
Like when Bray Wyatt first came up with that character and then morphed it into the Fiend, like I was okay with it. Like what killed it is, like you said, WWE tried to control what was going to make it cool, make it interesting, make it scary. Whatever they were trying to do, they didn't let Husky. I can't even think of it. Rotunda. I know his last name's Rotunda, but I can't think of his first name.
Wyndham.
Oh, Wyndham. I'm sorry, Wyndham. Sorry. I don't know why I thought Rotunda. That's one of the other generation wrestlers. But when they took it's almost like they took creative control out of his hands and said, we're going to control the creative, but you created it for us, but this is where we want it to go, instead of just letting him go. But we know that's WWE. They can't just let people be creative on their own and let them do it. I mean, they fuck so many things up as far as bookings and creative and all that stuff. Like they're screwing their own product up, and they're lucky that there's nobody big enough right now to take them out. Because if there was still a WCW type organization that was big like that, WWE be in a lot of trouble right now. They'd be in some really big trouble right now.
I mean, they don't care what AEW is doing, because AEW still, and AEW's they don't care what they're doing because they're not on their level yet. And it's going to take them a while to get on that level, no matter who they bring in regards to wrestling talent. I mean, I believe I read that Vince was like, it was either Vince or somebody else in the high ups were like, well, good for them. We can give them some more of our talent if they want.
Yeah,
like,
they were very ho hum sounding. So
they don't give a shit, which is fine. But you don't want to take the AEW versus NXT comparison, but AEW was beating them in ratings for 98% of the time. But that's one show against another. And they just need to, AEW just really does need to focus on themselves. And to be honest with you, them and the other wrestling organizations just need to focus on this, what they're doing right now with these collaborations, opening the door and having these collaborations with each other, because Mickie James is with NWA. She showed up at TNA pay-per-view, offered an open challenge to Diana. I always fuck up her name. The champion in TNA, to come over to the NWA pay-per-view, this, that, and the next thing. So, Switchblade, Jay White showed up on a TNA pay-per-view, the leader of the Bullet Club. So, he brought in a new member from TNA as a Bullet Club member. So you got the Bullet Club showing up now in the United States, like the leader. So the rest of them are going to be coming at some point. And I think they're going to be, interacting with each other. Yeah. Whatever the case may be, NWA, TNA, AEW, you might see ROH, get involved in this, AAA. So, the ones in the US need to, this is their way to me, I think it's awesome. This is their way to make another historic change, open another historic book in wrestling history, to do something like this and to have talent and different shows, as long as they play it out right and people don't get pissed off and start bitching about money and stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, you're all going to fucking make money, because if someone shows up on TNA and you advertise them on AEW, they're going to turn into AEW and watch them. And then, NWA is not on a big network right now, but people will find whatever fucking network NWA is on or wherever you can watch it, and they'll go watch NWA to see so-and-so show up on that show, and same with ROH, vice versa. So it's good collaboration for them to do this. And, Triple H made the comment a while back about, we could talk about having the, open the door. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I still feel if they would agree to that, they'd want to shit on every other fucking wrestler. Like if you had a competition or some battle royal, 15 fucking matches, 13 of those matches would be all won by WWE wrestlers. So I just think they would want to, they'd fall through that door and not when any of their wrestlers really do a job for anybody else outside the company.
And the sad thing is if they did do the job and allowed, like, say, not 50%, so 15 matches, 8 of them were won by outside guys, so they have the winning margin. That just adds fuel to the fact that, ooh, maybe these wrestlers are better, and that just allows for more people to then go watch those shows that those people are on, and it's not going to take away from their business. Like, it just adds value seeing that WWE is willing to say there are talented wrestlers on other shows, so we're going to let them win on our show and show you how good they really are by having these really spectacular matches. It doesn't hurt your product. It brings more fans to your product, because maybe those people that are only watching AEW right now because they're so sick of the WWE brand, maybe they come back to WWE because of this. You never fucking know. Like,
everyone's winning in this. No one's really
doing
losing.
Something like that.
Yeah, no one's really losing. No. And realistically, no one is.
So
people have been talking about it. Like, they're stoked about all these possible crossovers and matchups. I mean, John Moxley and Sami Callihan used to be a tag team back in the day. The Switchblade Conspiracy or whatever. I don't remember the full name, but they're Switchblades. They were a brutal tag team together. They're tagging up for the first time in like over 10 years. Nice. I think Sami Callihan runs like his own little small local wrestling organization. They're gonna tag together for the first time against their mystery opponents. We don't know who they're going to be yet, but
yeah, I feel like AJ doesn't like Moxley, does he? AJ doesn't like Moxley, does he?
I don't think he cares for him. I think he might be indifferent with him. I'm trying to remember.
I'm thinking indifferent at the best, maybe indifferent at the best.
I think he's the one. That's the one of the three. He's indifferent.
Yeah.
The other two, he likes Rollins a lot.
Yeah, he likes Rollins, but I'm trying to think.
He likes Rollins too.
He was Rusev. Now he's what is it in AEW? Miro. Or Nero. So yeah, I know he doesn't like him at all.
No, he definitely doesn't.
I don't know. I liked Rusev Day. I like that. I like that the revision of Rusev.
The Rusev Day gimmick they did with that, it worked. Fans
he had fun with it. Like, even he enjoyed that. Like, you could tell it was different for him to come down to doing the Rusev Day and stuff. And of course you had I can't remember his name that was doing like the introduction for Rusev Day and stuff. I can't remember his.
Oh, Adam. I want to say Alex English or Adam English.
Alex English. That's what it was. Yeah.
Aiden English.
Aiden
English. Okay. We start with an A.
This is why I
ended with an English.
Wrestling names, don't ask me. I can always picture the guy, but I never know their names. But Aiden English was doing it, and I'm pretty sure he's been gone for a really long time now from WWE.
I have no idea what's going on with that guy.
But he's somewhere. I can't remember where it is though.
But yeah, we'll see what happens.
I mean, and just to sum it up and everything though, again, like, you guys talked about, especially with like Rusev, like with Rusev Day, and there was also, of course, everything like that Zack Ryder did, and a lot of the Daniel Bryan stuff, and this even dates back to like when Flair came to the company back in 1991.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was only so far that Vince was going to push him because he wasn't Vince's creation. There's this old joke: nobody gets over on my watch. They just don't like it when guys get over on their own.
Yeah, it's hard to convince them otherwise.
They seem to feel this need to sabotage or to exert control over it, and inevitably fucks it up. So
that's why I was
the way that I want you to get over.
Yeah, and that's why I was extremely, extremely fearful of how AJ Styles was going to be used when he showed up at that Royal Rumble. I'm like, this is fucking awesome. And then after the match, I'm like, oh, fuck. What are they going to do with him? Because all the other former TNA guys did not really do very well overall, average at best. Him and Samoa Joe have pretty much done the most, and he's done the most out of all the former TNA guys. And it's just kind of like, oh, man, are they going to try to fucking bury him and make him into this? And And grateful it didn't, but that's a huge concern because he got over on his own. He created his own thing, TNA, Indies, New Japan, Bullet Club leader, all that shit. So it's
talking about getting over. I have to reminisce a little bit here with the Zack Ryder. Do you guys remember watching the Zack Ryder YouTube videos about this is WWE? This is Zack Ryder getting over, and he'd like push his little figure over the fence. Like, those were some of the funniest like videos like I have ever seen. Like he was just
the internet champion.
Yeah, the internet champion. Like it was great. And then WWE tried to give him a push, and of course they fucked it up. People want to say Zack Ryder fucked that up. I don't think he fucked it up because I don't think they booked it right. I honestly don't think they booked him right and gave him the proper showing and the proper push to be able to help him get all the way over into. He could have been. He was never going to be a main eventer, but he would have been a really good high mid carder.
Yeah,
because he had the wrestling ability, he had the charisma. He was pretty decent on the mic, but you didn't want to fucking really push him because even that quick interview that they did with Triple H, like he was like, who the fuck is Zack Ryder? Like he made it off like he knew who he was, but he really didn't know, and he really didn't fucking care because let's face it, he didn't like him. Like he didn't like the kind of person that he was.
He knew Zack Ryder, but he wasn't digging what he was doing.
No,
he definitely wasn't digging it at the time, which is sad.
Yeah. All right, so now we're going to talk the NBA, and we have to. We just have to talk the NBA because there is some major sweet ass changes going on. But before we talk about the change, let's talk the Olympics and and Team USA, because Team USA they qualified for the quarterfinals. It's Italy, France, Australia, and the USA, which is pretty impressive because I honestly didn't think the USA was going to qualify. I was like, they may not make the quarterfinal. They may not make a medal round. They may not make that.
I was worried after that France game.
Oh yeah, they were playing like garbage. When we talked about it on the last podcast, they weren't playing team ball. It was all individual. And one of the biggest things that they were having problems with which is one of the things that we're going to talk about, was they can't draw fouls like they can in the NBA. They can't do that in international play. They don't call that bullshit.
They're like, play on, fellas. This isn't the NBA, bros. This is international. We play.
So it was very interesting. And the big headline coming out of the Olympics, like this is like the big thing, is Kevin Durant is now the all-time leading scorer in international Olympic play. Like, honestly, I look at it and I go, I don't really fucking care because like that's great, but it doesn't fucking mean anything because what I care about with the Olympics is showing up, playing, and doing your best to try and win another medal. If you don't win another medal, that's fine. As long as you do your best, I don't give a shit. Like, but that's what the Olympics is about. Do your best that you can, and hopefully you'll win a medal.
Yep.
Which I guess we should talk about this because this is Olympics related and this is sports related. And I'm sure all you guys know about Simone Biles and the whole thing that went on with her. And I'm kind of disgusted at the way the media is handling it. And because I watched the replay of the women's team all around. And I watched, because that time I already knew him because I was watching on Peacock. So it was like a day later they do the replays of like the different events and stuff like that. Okay. So thank you, Theo, for letting me borrow that.
No problem.
But so I'm watching the replay, and the first thing I looked at was Simone Biles' face. And I was like, I can tell just based on what they reported, she is not into this. Like there's something mentally off right now with her. And then you watch her do her warm up. She's over rotating. She under rotates. She does this. Like she's just, something is fucking off. Okay. And there were so many people, the media portray, I think some media did it okay and some media didn't. But one of the things that pissed me off was not really just the media. It was all these fucking people that are butthurt that she didn't step up for the United States and just fucking go and do it. It's for the United States. Stop being such a whiner and stuff like that. It's like, listen here, you fuckers.
Like, what do they know? You work a 9-to-5 job. That's just totally different.
Like, you have no idea. Like these athletes, and I have no idea either, but I can take it from an understanding of what understanding an athlete's mental process and preparation and stuff like that. It's not just about winning a medal. It's not just about representing your country. Yes, that's what the Olympics are about, but you got to understand these people are still fucking human beings. Like, there is an immense amount of stress. The whole time leading up to the Olympics, all you heard as soon as gymnastics got underway and like, the Olympic tryouts and all this stuff, and this happens years in advance. This isn't just like 1 year in advance. This is years in advance that this starts. It was all eyes on Simone Biles, and how good is she going to be? She's going to lead us to another medal, and she's going to do this, and she's going to do this. Everything painting her like she's the perfect athlete in gymnastics, and that she's the only way that we're ever going to win another gold medal in the Olympics. Gymnastics. It's like she's not the only one on the team. There are, I don't know how many other people there are on the female gymnastics when they do team gymnastics. I think there's 4 that go, or is there more?
There's 4.
There's 4, and then there's alternates or something like that.
Yeah. So there's 4 for the main team for the all around team medal that they came in second with the silver, and then they do the qualifying as far as getting spots for like individual
you
events.
can do 2 maximum per country.
Yeah, so like Michaela, I forget her last name. I want to say Skinner, but I'm not sure if that's right. Michaela is taking over for Simone in one of the floor exercises in one of the events, I should say. Right. And then the other event, no one's taking her spot. So it's just the one with the other one American girl. So that's why you see the 4 main girls wear blue and the others wear red, because they're competing for the individual events that they qualified for.
Yeah, so
and that's the overall
wasn't
team.
Sure exactly how many people are actually on the U.S. Olympic team for gymnastics. But
I think it's 4 plus
a couple alternates at least.
3 or 4 more. I had to look it up. I don't remember off the top of my head.
So, I mean, you have the 4 main people. So there's, like, you can't say that, and they don't all compete on every event either. Like, there's, like, it's the 3 best athletes for that event on the all around. Like, whatever the 3 best people.
They take the top 3 scores. They all compete, but they take the top 3 scores of it.
Right. So it's one of those things, like, you can't just say it's one person that's going to help win a gold medal or whatever medal. It's the whole entire team is there to represent. Yes, you may have the captain, which I get it. Simone Biles is the captain, but that puts one person on an entire team under immense stress, an immense amount of stress. Nobody except for that person or anybody else that's ever competed in the Olympics and had that kind of pressure put on them understands what that athlete is going through. So the fact that she was able to recognize that if she competed on that day, that she was going to hurt their chances, that instead of help their chances of medaling in gold or any other medal, was smart as hell on her part to say, I am not able to do this. I can't do this. Like, I'm going to hurt you. And you hear her. They have it mic'd up loud enough that you can hear her say, I'm stepping down. It's not gonna help you guys. I'm gonna be your biggest cheerleader. I'm gonna do this. And she did exactly what a captain should do. Stayed there and rooted on her team from the sidelines and did what she should do. That was gonna best help the team. And they got a silver. You can't be upset with that.
No.
Could you imagine if she competed and screwed up? How many people would have been so pissed at her for being such a terrible?
It's a double-edged sword, because they would have been like, oh, if she was having mental issues or something was going on, wasn't right, she should have stopped and let somebody else take her. They would have flipped the script on her.
Oh, they would have been terrible. They would have ripped her apart.
Which is what we do. This is what we do in sports in this country, and how people act in regards to it. It's pretty sad. I felt like something was wrong when they started the all around and she did the floor exercise and she overpowered the one run, and then she slipped off. She slid out of the floor. Yeah. And I was like, oh shit. And just having the look on her face was like, she seemed upset, but she didn't seem like her normal self, or like I've seen her in the past. And yes, people, I'm a huge Olympic person. Like, I love sports and I do watch gymnastics. So
That's probably my favorite thing to watch in the
I
first
watched
week.
I watched the World Championships too when it's on, stuff like that. I follow a lot of various Olympic sports, summer or winter time, like when they're doing their other stuff in between the 4 years.
The one
It's
that
fun
I've
to
been
watch
trying
for
to
me.
watch has been beach um damn it,
Beach
handball,
volleyball.
beach handball. I
Oh,
can't
the beach
find beach
handball.
handball. I want to watch it because now that I know about it, I'm like intrigued to watch this. I'm like, this sounds really sweet, because I watched the indoor handball and I'm like, dude, these people are running the hell into each other. This is like
Dude, they're
freaking
physical on the indoor handball, man. I'm like, what?
and that's why I want to watch the beach one. I'm like, sweet, like beach. I love beach sports. Like,
Yeah.
you got people playing handball. They're beating the crap out of each other in the sand. Like, this is going to be pretty freaking cool. Now that I didn't even know it was an Olympic sport. I had no idea it existed until the Norwegian team was like, we're wearing shorts and not bikini bottoms. So I thank the Norwegian team for introducing me to beach handball.
Well, another thing I noticed too is watching swimming, and then they're doing it in track and field too, that they're doing mixed events. So they had a mixed relays. They're doing mixed relays now. So they had 2 men, 2 women, and some mixed relays for the swim. I think 800 meters and 1500 meters. I think I don't remember it off the top of my head, but there was like 2 events for that. And then today I saw highlights where there was it was either 4x100 or 4x400 relay, and it was a mixed 2 men, 2 women, and I think we medaled in that one for track and field. But I was like, oh shit,
they're doing like mixed track and field one. I didn't know about the swimming.
The swimming, track and field, and then they showed another one. It was marathon running. There was no triathlon. There was a mixed triathlon relay, which they did, where the Americans came in I think silver, and then I think the Americans medaled in shooting, like skeet shooting or whatever they do. So they had a mix. Yeah.
Skeet.
They had a mix in that too. And I was like, oh, they're doing like mixed sports here. That's different. That's the first year. This is the first year they've done a lot of those the mixed sports. Wow, that was cool.
Yeah.
So that's a different aspect of it. If they could give the athletes another chance to qualify for the individuals, you can get on the mixed relay team and get a medal there.
You can mix it up, man. Mix it up.
Oh, that was cool. Oh, jumbo bottle cap. Oh well.
All right. So now on to the very cool thing that I know Joe and I want to talk about. Maybe not so much Darth Pat, but
real quick. Yeah, all those people criticizing Simone Biles, fuck off.
Yeah, seriously.
Thank you. I like it.
Really, it's just fuck off.
Plain simple from Pat. Fuck off.
All right. So one of the things that has really
I hope this rule changes.
Has made me not want to watch the NBA for a long time has been the draw the foul. Like, I'm an offensive player, I'm going to draw a foul from the defensive player. I mean, plus the fact that I really feel like the NBA has gone from a physical type basketball game to a more of a finesse game, which is fine, whatever. I know it's got to change, but I really enjoyed more the physical play of the late 80s, early 90s basketball. That was just my preference.
Yeah.
But this has been thrown around. These are possible rules now. This is not definite yet. These are just things that they're looking to incorporate, and I think that these need to be incorporated because of things that have been happening in the NBA for God knows how many years now, with players, shooting players, jumping into defenders to cause contact, which automatically becomes a foul. So they have 4 things that they're looking to incorporate into the rules. Offensive players launching into defenders.
Happens all the time.
Happens all the times. Defender goes, and I don't have a clip, but maybe we will with James Harden. We might have a clip with James Harden, because I'm going to show some James Harden clips, which make me laugh because it's like absurd, like some of the fouls that he has called. But literally you see the defender leap past the guy, like to the side of the shooter, and the shooter jumps diagonally to hit the defender, which is ridiculous. That's not a foul and should have never been called a foul. We got offensive player abruptly veers off their path. So they're running one way and they see the defender over on another side. So they run over into the defender and cause a contact, which is ridiculous too. Shooter kicking their legs out, which we've seen this too. They do like a flying V
all the time
in the air. Which
do like a split and shit and kick the leg out to the like a direction your leg would not be fucking going if you're shooting a jump shot. Like seriously.
Like I didn't know we're doing acrobatics in the air as NBA players.
I didn't know when I have to shoot a 3-pointer that my left leg goes all the way to the left in the direction of the defender, trying to jump in my way, but off to the side.
Now, if you saw them in warm-up shooting like that, then you would know that's their normal shooting motion. But I have never in my life have I ever seen a shooter of any level throw their legs in weird directions, except for legs are straight up and down. Like that's the normal jumping motion.
Yeah.
And then you have offensive players using their off arm to hook a defender, which this one, I think they particularly said James Harden does this like every time. Like I was watching this compilation that I'm going to show you guys in just a minute. And I saw at least 3 of these in the first minute of this compilation. 3 hooks like that he gets called. And like, it's not just like he puts his arm out there. He literally grabs the person that's defending him and holds them until he shoots the ball. I don't know how that's a foul on the defender when they can't even physically get away from the person. Like that makes no sense to me how that's ever been a foul on a defender. Like, shouldn't that be an offensive foul for holding? Like, if there's a holding foul in NBA, I could swear there is, because I think defensive gets holds if they hold the guy's jersey and pull on it. I'm pretty sure there's a defensive hold. Yeah, it's a foul. You know, so it doesn't make sense. And the really cool thing that they're doing with this, which, like I said, I don't know if Darth Pat has any opinions on this, but this paragraph right here: if contact on these plays is deemed marginal, according to I'm not sure how to pronounce that name, they will not be called a foul on either side. But if the offensive player's contact impacts the defender's speed, quickness, balance, or rhythm, offensive fouls can be called on them as well. So these could end up being offensive fouls if it affects how the defender is allowed to play the game, which I think
hope this shit goes through.
Which is, I think, awesome.
Hey, James Harden, better watch out. You might get a lot of foul outs in the fucking first half of the season.
Well, and see, this is the thing. This is why I wanted to bring this up as being somebody that sees this and like is just bewildered by some of the fouls that they call anymore. And the fact that the games have gotten so high scoring recently in the last couple of years because of the amount of, 3 balls that are shot, but also the number of fouls that get called for, on shooters, and they'd be able to go to the line and stuff a lot more often than they normally would. It makes you wonder how some of these guys that put up these big numbers, are they still going to be able to put up these big numbers without the fouls that they're getting called on?
Yeah, that's true.
Like, is that going to take away from their abilities? Like, are they going to have to really show that they can shoot, or are they just, passing the ball more now? Because
got to see what their shots per game are compared to free throw attempts per game are.
Right.
And see which one starts to vary more.
Because one of the other big offenders of this that people have pointed out is Trae Young. Like, he is a constant. Like, I was watching a compilation on him too, because I was like, as soon as I saw this, I was like, I got to watch some of these, like, because I knew somebody was going to put together these compilations. And he's a repeat offender of the stop and let the defender run into you.
Yeah.
Like, he does that.
Yeah,
he'll dribble past him, and you can see him look back, and he's like, he's like 2 steps behind, and he'll stop and then jump backwards into the guy.
Yep.
I'm like, that's fucked up. That's not a foul.
It's just tricky ways to get fouls.
Yeah. And I literally watched one where the defender had his hands down by his side, didn't even put his hands out, and they whistled a foul because Trae Young jumped into him. I was like, that's really sad. Like, I could, like, if I was an NBA caliber player, I'd be pissed if I was getting fouls called on me for that kind of stuff. So pissed. So I got to stop sharing because I got to make sure I share this for video. So I want to share with you guys the video for this. Plus I got to make sure I share the sound on it. And let me go over to James Harden. So got to rewind it a little bit, just a couple seconds. All right, here we go. So we're just going to watch it like maybe about a minute or so of this. And I know, Theo, you'll get pure laughs out of it. And Darth Pat, you got to watch this because some of this stuff is just absolutely ridiculous. But here we go.
Have the numbers. Harden's got a corner man in Chris Paul, but he's tied up. And a whistle prevented the pass. Hart.
Like, ooh, they slap hands. Like, good job, man. Good job. But the replay is awesome on this. It's absolutely awesome.
If I was Hart, I would lose my ass.
Or Gordon, both wide open, but
like,
had a hold on him.
Like, how is
like
that a
he's
foul?
hooking his arm. He's hooking his fucking arm.
Look at this.
Hey, I tell you what, that's a takedown by James Harden. That's a takedown by James. He just laid on Michael Carter Williams' back.
Yeah, and this is Chicago, so I know you love this.
I watched this game. I was pissed.
So here we go. Here comes James Harden. And I'm just going to lay on your back.
220-pound body on top of Michael Carter Williams.
He lays on top of him, but yet Carter Williams gets the foul.
He's just going to lay on top of him. Wow. And make it look as if
And then Harden's like, oh my God, how'd he foul me?
Fucking horrible.
home winning streak. Ooh.
And this is another one where they need to, and then Harden throws the ball at him.
Some words with Frank Mason.
And the fact that the referees are this stupid that they can't see that he doesn't even get hit here is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Hits his beard.
Yeah, it was like a swipe at the bottom of his beard.
Here's another classic James Harden, too. He's a great actor. He could be in movies.
Look at Pop. Pop's like, are you fucking kidding me right now?
Offensive foul, his second. That's not an offensive foul. That is not an offensive foul.
There's Harden taking it in.
Oh, this one's great, too.
Rebound, and a foul is called on
Griffin doesn't even move. And now they're playing on the same team. That's funny, too.
We're going 1-1. It's in the bonus.
Here we go.
Look at James right there, and oh boy.
Oh, my goodness.
Just fell.
Whoops.
Fell down.
Like, if you're a ref, I would be embarrassed to be a fucking ref watching that and calling a foul.
Wesley Matthews got to be careful here. Looks like Harden took a shot.
He needs a fucking Academy Award.
He does.
Oscar nomination.
Take a look at the replay.
Him and LeBron.
He doesn't even get hit.
Oscar nominations.
Couldn't tell on
He
that
is
angle.
the epitome of
The
flop.
hand is like this far away from his face.
And the fact that the ref whistled it and then acted like...
Fucking horrible.
Oh, here's another
Paul
hook one.
George. I remember this
Harden
one.
drives on George and draws the foul. And that's where he's as good as anybody in the league. Creating that contact.
Good as anybody
and
what,
getting to
as
the
an
free throw
actor?
line. But a
Yeah,
poor
no,
job.
that's-
Created the
Oklahoma City
contact. Yeah,
defensively.
he's created
They cleared
it.
out the left side. No one communicated with Paul George.
You know, the other thing that
All the
pisses
help
me
was
off
on
watching
the
these
opposite
games
side, allowing
is the
Harden to go
announcers,
left and create the contact.
95% of the
There's nobody
time,
home on-
don't call this out. They
Yeah.
just they sort of go like it's fucking normal, and that pisses me off when I watch it. I'm like, you guys fucking know better. All you fucking commentators, ex-basketball players, coaches, you guys fucking know better that what Harden doing is bullshit.
Well, yeah,
But
and they're...
you're on national television, so you got to watch what you say.
Well, yeah,
Suck
and
it
the
up.
fact that
Call it out.
he's like, oh, this guy didn't come over to help. What was there to help with? The defender
Yeah.
was there. That was going to be a foul no matter what. I don't care who the hell came over to help him. It was a
Fucking
foul
hell.
before it even started because Harden put his arm around the guy and like pushed him with him.
Yeah.
left
Yeah, it was,
side, and nobody
that-
communicating to him. So he's unaware of
Fuck
what he should do.
communicate. Get the
sending
fuck
James
unaware.
Harden. That's going
He
against
hooked
the
fucking
game.
Paul
Well,
George's
that's not a
goddamn
foul.
arm, and you're going to talk
Don't
about.
forget to check
Oh,
out
no, that was the end of it.
sportscases.com
That
for
was the
unique
last
Well, Van Gundy actually said that wasn't a foul on Paul George. Well, I mean, so, thanks, Van Gundy, after the fact for saying that.
So I know, like I said, Theo and I, we so hope this goes into effect because we get so tired of watching people like James Harden, people like Trae Young, and there's a bunch of other offenders too, but those are like the two biggest ones that really stick out on my mind. that
LeBron's
just
flopping.
abuse the contact rule to the nth degree that it's so ridiculous of how they get fouls, and it really needs to stop. It needed to stop years ago, but
I like Trae Young too. I think he's a really good young player. I just wish he would stop doing. I just wish he would stop doing. Don't imitate. Don't emulate some of the other guys. Please, don't do that. Don't put yourself in a category like that. Don't emulate those guys.
No,
I don't like Trae Young.
Yeah,
No,
and see, and LeBron.
No. Why do I not like Trae Young?
because he beat your Knicks in the playoffs. Yes.
Yeah, well, he definitely was a big factor in why they beat the Sixers too. I mean, the Sixers had other reasons that they lost that series too, but he was a big factor. I mean, he was dead in Game 7. Game 7. He was dead. Like, he had nothing. He had like 4 points by the fourth quarter, and then all of a sudden they just we'll just let him shoot and do his thing, and then he freaking buried him. I was like, oh, this is fucking awesome.
Caught on fire at the right time.
But yeah, it's and we talk about LeBron. LeBron is a big. I think sometimes he does get fouled. Like, he legit gets fouled, but he exaggerates it. Like, he turns it into this like big fucking huge foul, like he got knocked down. Like, dude, you're like 260.
Yeah,
no, not
6'8". You're 6'8" and about 250 something. Get out of here with that shit.
Yeah, like, you're not getting hit that hard that your arms are like fucking broken, or that you're getting plowed to the ground. Like, come on, be like,
yeah. He's over dramatic.
It's a little dramatic for me. Like, and like I said, that's been my biggest problem with the NBA for the longest time now, is the dramatics of the fouls and how many fouls are called, and just like the ticky-tackiness of just the NBA. Like, I encourage people to go back and watch footage from the late 80s, early 90s, and just be able to compare and say, look at how physical the NBA was then compared to how it is now, and tell me how easy it was to get a flagrant foul or a technical foul in those days compared to now. You could easily 90% of the guys that played in the NBA back then would foul out of games because of how the physicality has changed. Like, you can't play that way in the NBA anymore, because you would literally foul out. Like, all that contact, it's not allowed anymore. Which is crazy.
It's another reason why the NBA. I think it's another reason why Team USA struggled against France, because they were getting manhandled in that game.
Yeah,
like you have NBA players who've played internationally as well before, but they understand how the international game plays because they've played international before they went to the NBA, so on, and the players they play with. And they're like, hey, this is international. That shit that the rest of Team USA, all those players like to do in the NBA, shit ain't going to fly over here. So they really played tough. And they kind of definitely manhandled them on multiple occasions in that game. So that's why I was like, these fuckers are going to lose. And if the other teams had just a little bit of talent to manhandle Team USA and try to push them around, I don't care if you have Draymond Green on your team, because the other players were getting fucking manhandled. Yeah. And you're able to score, keep up with the U.S. to a certain extent, you're going to have a chance to beat them.
Well, and that was the big difference between the original Dream Team and all the other Dream Teams since then, because that type of play was still very prevalent in the NBA when they went to when the 92 Olympics was. I still think with even with the 3-point line shorter in international play, Team USA is going to live or die by the 3. Mm-hmm. Oh, I think our host Theo has run out of juice on his laptop.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no!
He needs to rejuice. So maybe he'll be back on his phone.
That could mean almost anything. He needs to rejuice.
Oh, there he is. See, he's back. He is back on his phone. I thought he would be coming back. Go back. Go back.
Oh, can you guys hear me? I'm back. I had to go on my tablet because
Yes.
Laptop died.
I figured.
Yeah. I was like, it was coming. It was coming. I just don't know how to set my shit up now. I feel like a Pat.
So, Darth Pat, since you were not a watch the NBA kind of guy, you pay attention to what the Knicks are doing, and that's really about it.
Oh, there we go.
What did you think? What do you think about the new rules that they're looking to implement?
Rules are good. We need rules.
Love the way you put that
Thank
one.
you.
We need rules for this day.
That shit that Harden does is ridiculous. I mean, it looks like he's trying to put a fucking camera lock on a guy.
Yeah, he's fucking silly and stupid.
You know, it's like, hey, if you want to go beat Greg the Hammer Valentine, then go learn how to wrestle. You know, so yeah. I mean, you know, it's funny you say about the game being more of a finesse game now. It's like, yeah, it's like,
which I get.
It seems like they don't ever like to call fouls though. It just seems like there's so much stuff that you could call. You know, you could call fouls on, like, or that were fouls when I played that. You know, it's like, nothing now. You know, you can do whatever you want. You can touch the guy as long as you want. You can, you know, be like dragging him, like, you know, up the court. You can be hip tossing him up the court. That's legal. Yeah.
I mean, it feels like it, you know, just based off watching what we just watched. I mean, shit. But yeah, you know, you have flagrant 1, flagrant 2s, and all this bullshit now, and it's. Well, yeah, I mean, I get it to a point, but it's.
Well, and I feel like there used to be a time, and maybe this is just not my memory serving me right, but you couldn't, as an offensive player, push away defensive players. Like, you couldn't push them off. Like, I see a lot of guys like almost like give stiff arms at time to like push players away, and they'll like hook around them and push them backwards so they can't guard them.
Yeah.
Like,
so
I don't know when that became a legal thing in the NBA, but I don't ever remember ever being able to do that.
So they changed a rule, I believe. I don't remember when it was, but it's a while ago, where like I think it has like, it's kind of like the extension of the arm as far as the offensive player, you know, trying to space himself away from a defender. Like, I think it's one of those things, like if he extends his arm out fully to do it, then it's an offensive foul. But if he kind of like does in or 3/4 in, and they kind of like, oh, it's all right. Go ahead, do it.
And see,
I got a
I
problem.
understand, and a lot of people be like, well, you got to be able to protect yourself from the defender.
But you do.
That. I do.
You could do this. This is what
it used to be. Guys used to be able to, they used to put their forearms out.
I mean, bros, you guys are like 6'7" with like 7-foot wingspans. Your arms are pretty long enough to do the 90-degree, you know, get the fuck out of my way.
Yeah. And I mean, so it's just, things have changed so much in what they allow players to do, which really puts a lot of times the defender at a disadvantage to be able to guard the ball. So we always talk about, oh, there needs to be better defense. You know, there's no defensive players. Well, when you think about the way the rules are and the way they favor the offensive player, who wants to play defense? Who wants to put that much time into defense when you're probably going to get called for a foul for not doing anything anymore? You know, so when I think about it that way, it makes more sense that there's not as much hard-nosed, in-your-face defense, because the potential for getting called a foul and then fouling out of a game potentially is so much greater than it used to be.
No, absolutely.
So it's I will always understand the evolution of games, and games need to advance, but there also has to be fairness for both sides of the ball. Players need to be able to play defense, and offensive players need to be able to protect themselves and you know, have the ability to have a favorable game, but not to the extent where you can't play defense anymore, or where defense is thought of as a second thing because, oh, that makes the game boring.
Or it's situational defense. Like, seriously, situational.
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong. Defense, when it's a purely defensive game, like I've seen games in the NBA where it's like 70-65 and stuff like that. Yeah, that can be pretty boring because, I mean, that's a lot of missed shots. Like, that does make the game kind of boring, but it also adds an element to the game that you don't see anymore.
No, it would be funny. I would love to be like, new rule, not allowed to play man defense anymore, zone only. I would love to see that shit.
That would, you know what? That would not work in the NBA with all the 3-point shooters. Like it would just be jack all day.
I would love to see a game where they were only able to play 2-3 or 3-2 zone. That's it. No box at one. None of the other fancy bullshit. 2-3 or 3-2. No 1-3-1. No 2-1-2. None of that shit. Either 2-3 or 3-2. Let me see a fucking full NBA game. I don't want to see what the fuck that happens. I want to see that shit.
I don't know. You would coach with the intelligence of coaches and the intelligence of players. I would be scared to see what that would look like. Like honestly,
so would I.
Like I would be scared to see what that looks like because you'd almost have to do a 3-2 to be able to cover the top of the key. You'd almost have to do a 3-2 to cover the top of the key because I wouldn't worry about players driving and dunking as much.
No.
I'd be defending the 3 constantly because most teams have at least 2 to 3 good 3-point shooters anymore.
Yeah.
Nobody plays the low post like it used to. Now, if you're talking late 80s, early 90s, that would be terrible because people played the post then. And you'd be posted up all the time. Somebody would be playing the post all the time and just switching which side they're playing on.
It would be kind of funny though, because Steph Curry, I can bring him up, but Steph Curry be like, bitch, you want to play a 3-2 zone? I'm going to shoot just straight for the fucking half court. Fuck you. And I'm going to make it. Trade along with you, the same shit. Fuck, whatever. Turn around, walk around. Yeah, they would give a shit.
Speaking of shooting threes, it was funny. I was playing basketball this week with guys half my age, which is always fun.
Oh, yeah, it's a blast.
And it was funny. I shot a 3, and I just started jogging backwards. I'm like, dude. And they're like, this motherfucker's jogging backwards. He knew he was making that shit. I'm like, that one, yes, I knew as soon as that left my hand. I was like, I knew that was going in. I didn't even have to look. I just jogged. I just started backpedaling.
Those are the good feeling ones.
The other one that I shot up, I was like, nope. I was like, that's off. Like, that's not going in.
One of my coworkers, that's gonna be on my new team. I'll start on in a couple of weeks. He used to play basketball, and one of the guys on my team played college ball. He's like 6'8", I think. His name's I think he's 6'8". I'm trying to remember. I think he went to, I want to say Bradley, but it might be wrong. It might be one of the other ones. They were in the tournament a couple of years ago, his school. But yeah, he played ball too. And I guess there's an adult league in the area.
Nice.
And it's, I'm trying to remember. I think it's, I said, now you said adult league. I said, but what's the age? Because, and he looked at me, he's like, no. He goes, this is like adult league 35 and over or something like that. And I'm like,
I can be down with that.
I said, that's a little better. I was like, I don't want to hear something where it's like 25 and above. I was like, JoJo ain't playing that shit no more. No.
I tell you, I love playing, and it's it's my nephew and a bunch of his friends that play. And don't get me wrong, I love to play basketball, but man, when I'm done, like I can keep pace for the most part with them. I mean, they get a little ridiculous because they just shoot and run, like, so that gets a little old after a while for me. So like a lot of times I'll try and take the point and like bring the ball up so I can slow it down for one play. Because my basketball mentality is much different than theirs. Like, I try to look for open plays. I don't like their mentality is shoot for a 3 or I'm driving. Like there's not a whole lot of passing that goes on necessarily on a consistent basis. Every once in a while you'll get like they pass it 1, 2, 3 times, but that's about it. But man, do I feel it like that after I'm done and I go sit in the car, and by the time I get home, man, do I feel it. My knees are aching, my feet hurt, like my back gets tight. I'm like, oh my God, like I am definitely 43 playing basketball and out of shape right now.
Yeah.
So
You definitely do feel it.
I'll do it. And I know I've said this before. I will do it until I can't do it because I just enjoy it too much. Like I just really enjoy it too much not to go out there and play and like put my body through hell for a couple hours.
I enjoy it as well, but for me it's different because I know what my body can and cannot do, but my brain does not want to turn off what I was able to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the hardest part, because when I get out there, then I can't do it, or it's not a good day for my knee to do something. Then it's like, I feel useless. Plus the other thing too is I'm gonna be honest. I don't even remember when the last time I actually played a game. I can tell you right now, I haven't shot a basketball probably over 2 years.
Damn.
Yeah, legitimately.
Well, it's going to get interesting here soon because my son, who's going to be 5 this year, all of a sudden he's like ecstatic about basketball. Like he's like, Dad, come out and dribble with me. Dad, I want to dribble. And then
I wish my son was like that.
Then my daughter's like, Dad, let's dribble. Come on. She wants to dribble. Like they both want to dribble all the time. And I'm like, this is great. Like I'm excited. And then my wife asked me, she's like, are you going to coach if he wants to play? I'm like, hell no. I'm like, I'm never coaching any of my kids in sports. Like I am not doing that. I said, I want to go and watch and enjoy watching them play sports. I said, you know how I coach. I don't want to yell at my kids.
Yes. I mean, I don't have no problem yelling at mine for anything else. So if we just add that to the list, it's okay.
Because I remember when my nephew played for us the first year that I came and helped you coach.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I remember he was sitting down during one of the times we were discussing like a play or something like that. I was like, get your ass up. I was like, now you can go run. You want to sit down while we're trying to discuss it? You go run. I was like, I don't want to be that with my kids. Like, I don't. I'm too much of a hard ass when it comes to sports and that. Not that I'm mean. Like you know, I'm not mean, but I'm just a hard ass. Like you're here for a reason. Like don't waste my time. Like we got an hour and a half here. Don't waste my time. Yeah. Don't waste your time. Especially if you're going to be like, we want to win, coach. We want to win. Because that's anybody that's a youth sports coach out there or coached any kind of sports. All kids want to win. Well, if you can come, then put in the goddamn time and put in the goddamn work. Don't freaking waste it, because when you get out there and you're losing, you have nobody else to blame but yourself when you're not putting in the work. Now, if you put in the work and lose, then there's probably then there's going to be my part on that too. You know, sometimes the team's just better than you are, and that happens. But if you're wasting your time, you have nobody to blame but yourself on that one.
Absolutely.
Darth Pat, do you waste your time a lot? Because you have nobody else to blame. But I must say, I do like your shirt, Darth Pat. It does go right along with your Darthness.
Yes, it does.
And I promise I will never fail you again.
Don't fail me again.
See, Pat, you have the perfect lamp to the right to put red lights in there to make your Darthness even more menacing.
Ooh, like an overhead light, that one in the back, the overhead light that he's got there. Could put that in red.
Yeah, you can do that.
That's right in front of him.
I'd probably get some kind of a different bulb or something, you know.
I mean, Pat, I was really trying to foreshadow to use the light as, you know, a red light special for the ladies. But, you know, anyway.
Set the mood. I think it's awesome. Like, with having like the Amazon with the Alexa, you can set all like these different programs to be able to like turn on certain things. If you say like this, do this like program, it'll turn on this and turn this off and do this.
I do it on my TV all the time.
My brother-in-law, he set up, I forget what he called it. It's something like date night or something like that. It plays a certain playlist. It turns the lights to red and like low mute. I was like, it's corny as hell, but it's awesome too. You know, it's just, I mean, I don't want to know how many times he's busted it out or anything like that. But I'm just like, I can picture him going into his room. He's like, Alexa, put on date night.
It's like you can set up like routines now. Like I have like, you could do it. I have like an end of day routine or it plays like some random music or whatever that I have it set for like on Fridays at 6 o'clock, end of work week routine. I just was fucking around with it the one day to see how it was. And I was like, oh, so it like does, I didn't turn it off yet. So it just keeps doing it every Friday. But it's like, it's kind of cool. I mean, they just changed, I don't know when the update came out, but it has a male voice now and you can call Alexa Ziggy, which I'm going to turn. Did I do that with this one? Oh, I forget. I think I might have changed the one in the room I'm in to Ziggy. Oh, I did. Hi, Ziggy. She doesn't want to talk to me.
He doesn't want to talk to you.
Whatever. Yeah, but I changed half of them. I kept half of them with the female voice and the other half with the male voice. Is funny. But no, I got a Fire TV 2017 on Black Friday at Best Buy for a really good price. So I have my account set up to that, and I have an Echo Dot, whatever, underneath the TV, so I can talk to the TV or use the Echo. It's the only one I have that actually, if I say, Alexa, turn on Fire TV, it'll do it. If I go in all the other rooms and try to do it, it won't work. I don't understand why none of the other ones work, but that one does, but whatever. And I'll be there like, hey, Alexa, switch to game console. Switches it to game console. Switch to Xbox. Switches it to Xbox. For the inputs, I'm like, this is awesome. Yeah. I'm like, Alexa, open Disney Plus. Opening Disney Plus for you. Okay, cool. I'm like, alrighty then. I'm down. It might seem kind of lazy, but whatever.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I'm like, thinking to myself, I could do that too. I'm like, how lazy am I going to make my life?
Yeah,
it's all right.
You click a button, but it's nice to talk.
Darth Pat, are you okay, sir? You look like you were. No, okay. Is there anything that you would like to talk about, Darth Pat, that you think our listeners would like to hear about or might find interesting?
Sorry if I bored you this evening.
No,
nothing interesting. Okay.
No.
Okay. Well, there was one thing on football that I found interesting, and this anybody that's listening that's an Eagles fan or an Indianapolis fan, I'm sorry, Eagles fans will probably rejoice on this one, but Carson Wentz is out indefinitely with a foot injury. I'm like, okay, it's
you have a quarterback for him.
I'm like, how does that happen? Considering like they're only doing like, what is it? Are they even on OTAs yet, or I can't even remember where they are.
Started.
Okay, so they're in camp. So camp started, and he's already like first week in, he's got a foot injury, so he's out indefinitely. I was like, holy crap! And this is just, like I said, Eagles fans will rejoice because, like, see, I told you, this is why they needed to get rid of him. He's injury prone. He's always going to be injured. He's never going to make a full season. And then, of course, you have Indianapolis fans that are probably like, oh, fucking shit. Like, he's fucking, oh, my God, now what are we going to do?
And trade for Nick Foles. You can have Nick Foles. You're glad to get rid of him. You can have him. Need a quarterback? There you go.
I'm just like, I'm indifferent. I liked Carson Wentz. I think, and I mentioned this before, I think the organization, upper management, did him wrong in there. I think they screwed up. And I think they're still
upper management. I think upper management did Nick Foles wrong too.
Yeah, I think they're the upper management is fucking up that team, and fucking up the culture of that fucking up their culture, I honestly believe that is the simple truth of what's happened to the Eagles since they won the Super Bowl. Upper management is fucking things up because the coach only has so much control. Players only have so much control. Who has all the control? Upper management has control of of that stuff. So, but we'll see what happens this season. So that's the one piece of NFL news I had.
Long way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
The NBA draft was recently. The NBA draft happened. I know we talked about basketball already, but I didn't see anything interesting that happened in the NBA draft that was worth that was like amazingly awesome.
No, I mean, the draft pretty much went, as far as lottery picks, the draft went pretty much the way it was supposed to go. Some small things, some players dropped a little bit further than expected. I'm pretty stoked. The college player, foul at Illinois, Ayo Dosunmu, fell, and the Bulls drafted him with the 38th pick in the second round. So I'm stoked for that. He's a combo guard. There's a couple other players that fell too in the later part of the second round. So other than that, nothing special except for the stupid Westbrook trade. Other than that,
yeah. Which, oh my god. So, like I said, I know we talked about the NBA already, but the Westbrook trade, like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, if Westbrook wins next year with the Lakers,
it's not because of him.
It's not because of him, but don't give me the all this crap about super teams and stuff like that. Now, this was a trade, so this was not, and I don't know who negotiated this trade. I don't know if it was LeBron, like, dude, we got to get Westbrook here. I wouldn't be surprised if he had some input on it, but
doesn't matter. You just traded for a super team. No matter if LeBron had input or not, you're doing this too.
Yeah, you're super loading your team for the purpose. I mean, yes, you gave a lot away to get him. But this is like, free agency is great, and then there's a problem with free agency. This is probably the biggest problem with the free agency in the NBA is that how many years did it? I don't even know how many years Westbrook had left on his contract. I don't know if his contract was up or not. I don't feel like he was at Washington that long. Like, I don't feel like
it was only this season.
What's that?
It was only this season because he was traded beginning this season out of Houston to Washington, and then Harden got traded to Brooklyn.
Right. So this could have been where they were picking up the last year of his Houston contract. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd have to look up to see. What his contract status is. But to be honest with you, nonetheless, it's just, yeah. I mean, when teams guard Westbrook 6 feet away when he's shooting a 3-pointer, that's not really someone, because they know he can't make a 3-pointer 60% of the time. Mm-hmm. He'll miss it 60% of the time, or 70% of the time, or 80% of the time. He's a hard worker and he goes, but triple double machine. But what is all those triple doubles done for his team?
Right.
Stats are good, but the wins is what matters, and it's just the wins haven't been there.
All right. In the post that I saw on Facebook that somebody had posted, that they copied it from the original, that some of the people were ecstatic, some people were dogging it, and it's like, you'll see. We got to wait and see what happens. But honestly, this is just a way. I feel it's a way for Westbrook to get a title, because if he goes to any other team, like I said, if he wins with LA, he gets his title. He can go down as a triple double machine, having an NBA title. He's definitely a first ballot Hall of Famer without even questioning it. I mean, he is before that anyways, without even the NBA championship. He's still a first balloter just because of his stats. But he gets that notch in his, he gets that feather in his cap to say, I'm now an NBA champion too. Just like all my buddies are, that played in the same era that I am. And then to me, it's bullshit, because, and people disagree and say there was super teams back in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah. So most of those were like, those super teams weren't really super teams. You want to define them now, because a lot of those players were playing together from beginning to end. Right. Not just like randomly. You could say the first super team was the Houston Rockets, when they had Drexler and Olajuwon, and then Barkley signed with them, and then Pippen was traded to them. I think a sign and trade to them.
Right. And the problem with that is that,
and that didn't
those guys were past their prime.
Oh yeah.
They were not explosive players. They weren't dropping big numbers. Westbrook's still dropping big numbers. Now, people might say, well, Westbrook's past his prime. You wouldn't be able to tell by the way he plays.
He's not past his prime.
So, LeBron, you could say LeBron's past his prime. Like, he's in his late 30s. He's definitely not a prime
He's still
player,
putting up
but
numbers.
He still puts up
he's
numbers.
Not putting up. Yeah, he's just not.
But if you look,
you could tell there's certain flaws that are starting to happen from the age.
But Anthony Davis, AD, he's still prime in his career.
But gets hurt.
He's just injury prone. Like, he's always hurt. But there's a very big difference between what you would consider a super team now and what people look at super teams before. Like, the Bulls technically would be a super team, but the big difference is that Jordan was there. They drafted Pippen. They drafted Horace Grant. They drafted, and some of the players got traded, but they played together for years and years and were dominant as they played for years and years. They didn't trade for a guy and then were dominant because that guy was already a superstar with another team. That's the kind of stuff that didn't happen.
They were going to win 3 championships with Rodman or not. Someone else would have filled that role. Would they have won 73-10 without Rodman?
No.
Maybe, maybe not. Maybe in the high 60s again. They were still winning titles with that. Rodman was on that team or not. Rodman just helped out in other ways in regards to it. And I'm not saying that, him being on the team didn't make a difference, because it made a difference a lot of the time. With his antics and stuff actually helped the team. But I still don't consider that those super teams, because it's like the next team people like to bring up is the Celtics. But Ray Allen was there, and Ray Allen needed help, and they had to go out and get help. And to be honest with you, Kevin Garnett was semi past his prime, but still playing up, still playing well.
Well, yeah, Ray Allen was already there, and so was
Pierce. Paul Pierce is what I meant to say. And then they brought in Ray Allen. They traded for him because his time with the Bucks was coming to an end, because they were screwed. The Bucks were just fucking him over left and right with what they were doing with that team. So, he was like, help or get rid, I went out, I think it was. So, that was that. It wasn't really a super team, because some of those guys were like on the descending part of their prime, but still able to put up numbers, and they played team ball and won anyway. LeBron is the game changer with his Jacob my challenge to South Beach bullshit. But it is what it is. It's past now.
Yeah.
So now everyone wants to buddy up. Brooklyn's got their team going and all that shit. So.
Well, yeah, and you look at what happens with some of these super teams. They don't turn out to be shit anyways, because when it comes down to it, the NBA is still a team sport. You have to play as a team if you want to win. Yep. And the Bucks were a better team basketball team. Yeah. They were better teams altogether.
They didn't put superstars with Giannis. They just got players. God, no. They got players. They had players that they drafted. They had the players they brought in as key pieces. Nothing crazy. Drew Holiday's not some superstar. He's a higher tier player, yes. He's not a superstar for like a super team guy. He plays really good defense, and he's an above average offensive player. It's just complementing everything else they had with him and Milton.
And the Bucks, if you want to put it this way, and I saw this headline, the Bucks did it the hard way.
It did.
And
it took them a couple of years to get where they needed to get to.
Yeah, but it proves that you don't have to have you don't have to have a team full of superstars, or I shouldn't say full of superstars, 3 superstars on a team to win. It's the formula. The formula has not changed in the NBA of how to win a game.
Nope.
You need the right players on the team. Now, sometimes that ends up being superstars, like the Golden State Warriors. They had Steph Curry. They had Kevin Garnett. Not Kevin Durant. Sorry, Kevin Durant. Some people will say Klay Thomas is also a superstar player. That's up to the person. Draymond Green is
opinion.
Not, but
I don't think he's a superstar, but he's a higher tier player.
Yeah, and Draymond Green is definitely not a superstar. But you had 2 superstar players on that team, but the formula still didn't change. They still had to have other players, and they had to play team ball. The Golden State Warriors, when they were winning, played really good team ball.
Yep.
So, all right. Darth Pat, anything to add, sir, to our conversation today?
Not that I can think of. No.
All right. Theo, anything you want to leave us with?
No, but everybody out there, we are going to, maybe next week, maybe the week after, we are going to have a Mount Rushmore topic of conversation.
Yes, we are tossing around ideas for Mount Rushmore. We want to bring that back, so that'll be fun. We got two topics possibly. One talking about the Bad Batch, and maybe a Mount Rushmore based on the Bad Batch series from Star Wars, and then I
Yep.
threw another one out there today, which was
That's good, like this one.
this is the greatest. We're basing it on a small error between 85 and 2000, so it's a decent amount of years, not quite 20 years, but a decent amount of years on the greatest linebackers of all time from that time frame, which would be interesting. I'll have to do my history because I've never been a big linebacker buff. Other positions, I know a lot of good players, but the linebackers is kind of my fuzzy area, so I'd have to do a lot of research on that one. But I think that one would be good. I know one player I'd have to put on there, and I don't want to have to admit that I'd have to put him on there, but he has to be on there. And it's only because of the team that he played for and the fact that it's Darth Pat's favorite team. But I got to put him on. You got to give the guy due respect. I think we know who we're talking about. I'm not going to say his name because I'm going to save that for when we do a Mount Rushmore and when we talk about that topic, because I'm pretty sure that's going to be our Mount Rushmore kind of topic.
Yeah, probably. But we're bringing it back. We're not going to do it as often, but we're going to do it as a once a month type of thing or so to get some good combos and Mount Rushmores, and then banter between each other.
Yes, and call Darth Pat a dummy. No, won't call him a dummy. I'll leave that for AJ maybe if he decides to join us.
Yeah, those two could banter. I'll sit back and eat my popcorn.
All right. Well, with that being said, I guess we will call it a night. So to all our fans, we do appreciate you watching. We do appreciate you listening wherever you're catching this. We just really greatly appreciate it. We can tell that more people are getting this. So anybody who's spreading it, anybody's sharing it, telling people about it, we greatly appreciate you. So if you are catching this on YouTube, then please get a big thumbs up, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, set up your notifications so you don't miss an episode. And if you're catching this on any other form of audio version, whether that is Apple Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, Pandora, Amazon Music, wherever you're catching it, thank you for tuning in. Give us a like there, subscribe to the channel there. And if you're catching it on Apple Podcasts, leave us a rating because that helps more people find us. So we appreciate everybody. And as always, we want to say good afternoon, good night, good morning, and we'll catch you on the next episode.